Hello and welcome to Talking Sport Olympics 2012. My guest in studio is already an Olympian, having represented Ireland in the 2008 Beijing Games. He's a four-time national 800-metre champion and one of the true characters of Irish athletics. Thomas Chamney, welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Thomas, your reputation as a bit of a big character and having a big personality has spread worldwide. Where did this come from?
Well, I suppose back before the Beijing Games, I started an online blog just to kind of document, trying to make the team and all. And a lot of people just kind of jumped on the bandwagon and started following it. And I suppose from there, I got good exposure from that. So that was probably the main. I kept it going after the Olympics, in 2009, 2010. Just, my training experiences, going to races, what life on the circuit is like, that kind of thing. And for athletics enthusiasts in Ireland and in America as well, they kind of just followed along and I suppose got a bit of exposure. Yeah, I went from there, yeah.
So you were born in Tipperary, went to school there for a while, but ended up going to secondary school in Dublin.
Yeah.
But when did your interest in athletics start to feature in your life?
I actually went to ring in the Gaeltacht down in Dungarvan for a year before I went to secondary school and actually started cross-country running there. And then, I don't know how, somehow, I think my mother signed me up to Clonmel Athletic Club and just ran with them and, county championships, Munster championships, stuff like that. And then when I went to secondary school, there was a teacher in the school who was a big, he's a big athletics coach and kind of got more serious then once I went to secondary school, and he started coaching me. He was probably what I would consider my first coach, and went from strength to strength and started winning medals at national juvenile championships and Irish schools and things like that.
So how then does someone who is interested in athletics, winning nationals and just running community games in school, go on to become a professional athlete? When did that happen for you, that you made that decision?
Well, when I went to college in America, so when I graduated in 2007, the Olympics were the next year, and everybody wants to go to the Olympics. So I was like, I'm, going to try and train full time. And at the time, I was getting a small grant from the Irish Sports Council. I had a bit of savings as well, and my parents helped me out a little bit that year. And also, I had a sponsorship from Club Energised Sport at the time. So I kind of had a few different income streams, and was like, I'm going to give this one year to try and make the team and kind of see what I can do. And so it was more, things just kind of fell into place for me because I'd spent 5 years in America and reached a certain level, and as well the year before an Olympics, it's a little bit easier to get corporate sponsorship and things. So just pulled a few strings and I don't know, somehow kept afloat financially and made the team. And kind of after that then I kind of, your profile goes up obviously after going to an Olympics. So my grant went up a level and just...
You mentioned there about being in college in America. Did you go on an athletic scholarship or just did you put yourself...
No, I went over on an athletic scholarship. In college over there, I went to a private college, so it would have been $40,000 a year if I hadn't gone on scholarship, so I wouldn't have those kind of funds available. So luckily enough, I ran my last year in school in Ireland. I think I was second at the Irish schools and ran some good times. And University of Notre Dame, which is in Indiana, they decided that they were interested in taking me on for scholarship. So, jumped at the opportunity and went over and spent 5 years there for my sins,
You said that it was the year before the Olympics that you really decided to make a play for it, and the 2008 ones, and go for it. But did you not grow up always wanting to be an Olympian?
Oh, sure, everybody wants to go to the Olympics. I remember in the summers when you're a kid, watching... So, athletics is a summertime sport, so there wouldn't be much, the rugby season's over, Premiership football would be over. So you'd be watching GAA or you'd be watching whatever the athletics championships were that year. And I remember watching Sonia O'Sullivan and Marcus O'Sullivan and those kind of people when I was a kid. And yeah, obviously you wanted to go to the Olympics, but I think, I'm a kind of a realistic guy as well. It only became apparent kind of towards the end of my time in college that, I really do have a chance of making it on the Irish team, if I stick with it and keep training and all the rest. Whereas, when you're 15 or 16, you're not thinking to yourself, oh man, I'm going to, in 8 years' time, I'm going to be an Olympian. You have aspirations and dreams of doing it, but when those actually become a reality, or when they're close to being a reality, it's kind of different, a different mindset, I suppose.
America then, what was it like being over there in college? It was probably a really high standard anyway.
Oh, it was great crack, you know. I enjoyed myself over there. The athletics and the academics, it was a really good combination for me. I mean, the athletics over there is just the facilities and everything are miles ahead of what you'd have in Ireland. Certainly at the time, you know, when I went, you know, we've had the Celtic Tiger come and go, so facilities have improved somewhat. But when I went over, you know, you've physio right there. We had an indoor track, an outdoor track. All your travel to all your competition, all your gear. We got, you know, free shoes, free spikes. Anything you could want was given to you on a plate, like. And obviously you also had, you know, I was training with 30 or 40 other guys that were all pretty like-minded. They all wanted to get the best out of themselves. Whereas over here, you know, just our numbers are smaller. You wouldn't have training groups of that size. The exposure to a higher level of competition. I mean, the NCAA system is, you know, it is a precursor to world level, Olympic level. So, you know, it really brought me on as an athlete. And obviously, you know, from a personal development point of view too, like being in America, you know, you don't have your mother there to do the laundry or do your cooking, so you kind of have to grow up pretty quick. So from that point of view, I was really happy I went as well. My academics, I came away with a really good degree and just kind of grew up and matured a lot and just had a great time, just really loved it.
Do you think that if you'd stayed here you would have made the progress that you made?
Nah, not a whiff. I'd be in the pub talking about how I used to be, I used to run, or, you know. No, not at all. I mean, everybody's different, but for me, I know 100%, you know, put my hand on my heart, going to America was the best decision I ever made from an athletic point of view and from, you know, personal point of view. And I think if I'd stayed here, you know, I probably would have got a college degree and, you know,
had good crack.
Had good crack, but from my athletics, I don't think I would have made the, you know, I went over to America, I wasn't, you know, people weren't saying, oh, this is the next, you know, Eamon Coughlin or the next Ronnie Delaney. They were just like, oh yeah, that guy's, you know, he's decent. So I made a big progression once I went over there. I got real serious and got into it. I don't think I would have made that same, I wouldn't have been as committed and I wouldn't have made the progression I made if I'd stayed at home.
Did you come into contact with any of the big stars now that we'd probably know that might have won Olympic medals or World Championships? So like, when you were in America, yeah?
Yeah, there would have been like Karen Clement, some of the Walter Dix who won an Olympic medal. He was the big star when I was coming through, like in the sprints. There was Xavier Carter, who I don't know if people remember, but he ran one of the fastest times ever in the 200 metres, and since then I think he's been done up for drugs charges and firearms charges. So he was a bit of a loony. He was on the scene as well. He was a big star. But yeah, those were the kind of guys. I mean, you know, Usain Bolt and stuff. He didn't go to the NCAA, so we didn't see any superstars. But
do you think that the Irish athletics scene has progressed enough, we'll say, in the few years since you've been back now, that people, if they are athletes, if they stay here, that they have the facilities now and they have the coaches and they have enough to make it? Yeah, I think
things have changed an awful lot. Like from when I was a junior to the juniors now, they have maybe. The juniors now are of a higher level than when I was on the junior teams back in the day. In terms of, you know, is it better than going to America? In my opinion, it's not. But obviously, I'm biased because I went over there and had, you know, time of my life. But I think on the whole, Athletics Ireland have done a pretty good job at getting juvenile standards up and junior standards up. And there's a lot of guys and girls coming through now that are have the potential to kind of push on and make it in the world level. Whether they do or not, that's not for me to say. But there's more depth at that level across all the events than there would have been when I was coming through, for sure, I think.
So when you made it to Beijing then in 2008, what was it like to be over there representing Ireland at one of the biggest sporting events in the world, if not the biggest?
Yeah, no, it was an experience anyway. I'll never forget the process, like the way I got selected, and then obviously, you know, it's a real long way away, so the travel out there and the holding camp and going into the village, it was certainly the intensity was a few degrees higher than what I'd been exposed to previously. You know, I'd been to World Student Games and been to European Championships, but the Olympics is just a different ball game altogether. Like going in, I'll never forget, like the actual, you know, racing in the Olympic Stadium, the atmosphere was just, I don't know, it was something that you don't get it at a World Championships or a European Championships, like the intensity of the crowd and everything. It's just not, you know, World Championships is a really high level, but it's not, everyone pushes the boat out for the Olympics. It only happens every 4 years, so it was a different, I don't know, took it all in anyway. So
you mentioned there the way you got selected. What did you mean by that?
Oh, well, obviously, there's three of us that were picked with B standards, and that was probably obviously I went into the season, I want to get the A standard, and things didn't really pan out for me. I got glandular fever and had some health issues that kind of hindered my training for the whole month of April and most of May, and I came out and ran a B standard, which, to be honest, I was pretty happy with that, given what I've been going through, So, and then there's a bit of drama at the finish because I got a phone call the night before. I was in Belgium due to race to try and run the A standard, and I got a phone call from the team manager saying there's rumours going around here that the OCI are going to bend their A standard only policy, and you're not going to be at Irish Nationals. And there was another athlete who had a B standard as well in my event. So if you're not here at Irish Nationals and you don't win, then even though you're running better than this other athlete this year, you're going to get screwed over, basically. So you need to figure out a way to get from. I mean, this is like 7 p.m. on a Friday night, and the heats of Irish Nationals the next morning. I'm like freaking out. I was in a pizzeria I had my laundry going, and then I was getting a pizza across the street, and I was like, what? So I jumped in a taxi, went to Brussels airport, and threw my credit card at the lady and said, get me on a plane, and came back. And I was the form runner that year, so I won Irish Nationals and got selected. But I would have preferred, obviously, to run the A standard. That was what the criteria said, but you're never going to turn down going to the Olympics. And myself and the two other people who got picked, and we went. So that was it.
This year, Athletics Ireland are only sending the A standard for 2012. Do you think this is fair that they're not sending the B?
In my opinion, I think they should send as many people as they can. I always think that they should send as many people as they can to every championships. I think it's hard for the public to understand the level of commitment it takes to get to even running a B standard level. I mean, you're ranked inside the top 50 in the world. I mean, it's not like you're no good if you can only run the B standard. I mean, especially with London being so close as well, there's never going to be an Olympics closer than London. I mean, we'll all be in our graves by the time it comes anywhere back to London or somewhere close to us. This is it, in terms of having it in our our backyard, so to speak. So in my opinion, and as someone who went to the Olympics on a B standard, I came out the next season and I ran one of the fastest times ever by an Irish person. I was ranked in the top 25 in the world. I made a massive breakthrough, and I definitely think part of that was down to the exposure of going to the Olympics. I definitely think there should be some leeway for guys that are young, guys and girls that are between 20 and 25. To get that exposure is invaluable, and if you have a B standard and no one in your event has an A standard, and you could, under the rules, be sent. In my opinion, I think they should look at making exceptions to the rule, because there's definitely benefits to sending young athletes that are coming through to an Olympic Games to prepare them for Rio 2016. But they make their rules, and I'm not going to argue with them. I mean, if it was me again now and I only got a B standard now, I fair enough. I went to Beijing on a B standard. I don't want to go to London on a B standard. So, okay, but if there's 20, 21-year-olds that have the opportunity to go, I say just send them all. But I don't make the rules.
We'll discuss how Thomas is progressing towards 2012 after the break. Hello and welcome back to Talking Sports Olympics 2012. Thomas, before the break we were discussing Beijing 2008. Now, if everything goes to plan,